follow through to this pullback we got on the Qs and SPY. All right. So let's take a look at the market. Let's get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for March 13th, 2020. Q's up 8.47% and SPY up 8.9. Now, if you were in the room today, we had some pretty nice trading. I thought we had some nice calls, some nice plays, but I think the important thing that we were all watching for was this hourly buy setup right here. Okay. Now, whether or not this green bar follows through is gonna be everything. Okay. In my opinion, that's gonna be everything because we've seen it before. Okay. We've seen this right before. We've seen this before. And so what happens next is, at least what we've seen in this downtrend, is that the market ends up negating the bar and goes lower. Okay, but all right, this green bar much bigger than these. What's going to happen next is going to be crucial. Okay, now we got this higher low. That's the thing that we've been talking about. If we're going to get this hourly transition, that is the start. That is the earliest for me to go long. We talked about it quite a bit today, this hourly buy setup. If you're not necessarily a bottom picker, which there were some people talking yesterday in the room as well about maybe going long at the close that the bottom was in. Personally, that's not my approach. I got to see at least this higher low, this pivot created and got the bounce. That's about as aggressive as I can be. Right now, if you feel like, oh no, I missed it, the market's already up 8.9%. Okay, the way moving into next week, I am expecting the pullbacks to be buyable. Now, it's all going to come down to the reaction to this green bar. Okay, so if it ends up grinding lower, 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 we grind back to the lows. Right, bets are off. We're still going lower. We're not ready yet to bounce. Okay, or if we gap underneath, that's what we did to start off this week. Okay, so we'll be watching for this pullback as a buyable opportunity. Haven't said anything like that all of this week. And even after we had the daily sell setup, which triggered in the previous week, right? Pullbacks were not buyable, but going into next week, they will be, unless we get this grind lower, unless we get a gap down. So if the buy setup fails, right, then back to bearish. But going into Monday, after this nice rally here on the Qs and the SPY, I'm expecting this buy setup to be buyable, but it is going to be very, very pivotal if we're going to get this transition higher on the hourly, which will be kind of the smaller time frame that helps inform us about the daily and the weekly, and probably the monthly is I think the nicest looking chart here, this deep pullback into support as far as the next move up higher. Okay, and then if we get that hourly to start going, we can start talking about eventually where to expect the next area of resistance here on the way back up, because with this kind of drop may not be all that smooth of a way back up. But for now, what's going to be critical is that next pullback, okay? That next retracement on the hourly, whether that holds or not, right, is really going to be telling for whether or not this market can really put in a pivot down here on the weekly and recover. Okay? All right, so yesterday we talked about a couple things, kind of just takeaways from the day. And one of them was about persistence, and so usually when I am telling you kind of the takeaways from the day, it's not necessarily because I think if you listen to me you'll have a great day the next day. Really, where they're coming from is my own notes to myself, okay, which is yesterday on the ETRN, took a few tries, and there were some other plays that I couldn't get filled. And, it was just to remind myself to kind of keep my head in the game, stay objective, just stay focused. It's easy to kind of get frustrated or want to give up or, whatever, because you feel like you're watching all these plays that you can't get into, or even trying a play that doesn't work, things like that. And so I felt like today I did a pretty good job on that, especially on this WORK. Now, I gave you the sell setup in the room on this right here as it was breaking. Could not get filled. Tried it underneath this bottoming tail. This is just a sell setup. Okay, here we have a lot of weakness. Market was gapping up. This was showing weakness. Higher lows, and then it breaks the higher lows. I could not get filled. And so that was actually the first thing I tried today and couldn't get filled. I thought, oh, that's too bad. Really a big bummer. Now, the good thing is, as this kind of the morning went on, came across this base that's set up here, and then another nice tight base. So the difference between what was going on here and what was going on here is that the base here is a lot sloppier. You can just see kind of the back and forth that's going on, right? The range of the bars is bigger, and then we get nice tight bars in there, right? Nice tight bars, right? And then we get the breakdown there, okay? This ended up being not my biggest play of the week, but pretty good. And so, it was one that I thought, when I missed it here, that I had missed a really good opportunity. Now, of course, it would have been nice to be in here and then still be in it or add to it, but I think going off of just, what I felt like I did well yesterday, continuing that today, right? Staying focused, stuff like this is going to happen, especially stuff outside of your control can be kind of frustrating. So, this is one that James also gave you numbers on this one. It was basing, breakout failure, and then underneath there, I think it was at the bottom, like 3.5 Rs. But I took most of it here on the initial break of the lows, and then the rest here, I think, on this pop, I didn't get that last bit. And then even worked actually as a long, was actually, some people played it long, which was really, really nice as well. Okay, so, it's just one of those things that I think is easier said than done, because I think when you find a really nice play, and you are ready to play it, you're ready to manage it, according to plan, and you just can't get filled. It's one of those things that is hard to accept sometimes, especially missing out, and so we got lots of opportunities this week throughout the day. So I think, that's not always the case. And so I thought this week, for all of us, probably if you did well this week, you had to let some things go. You had to let some things go, whether or not, they weren't set up perfectly, they ended up working great anyway, or you just couldn't get filled. And it was, I think, a week that you really had to kind of have your head screwed on straight and be focused. Otherwise, it would have been easy to kind of maybe kind of give up on the day early. So I hope you did really well. I know a lot of people in the room were saying best week of the year, if not ever. So, it's the kind of volatility that I wouldn't mind seeing more of. I'm ready to have another week like this week as well. But we'll see, okay? I don't think, it's going to be a straight shot back up, but we'll be watching for the next pullback and see where that goes, okay? All right, so very interesting Monday we have coming up, okay? Hope you did well today and are excited for next week, all right? Have a great weekend, everyone.